for CryptoZoo again. So if y'all remember a few months back, YouTuber Coffeezilla exposed Logan Paul for running a scam called CryptoZoo. Now to keep it brief, CryptoZoo caused many investors to lose mass amounts of money. And because of this, when Coffeezilla decided to call Logan out, Logan said that he would be refunding people that bought into CryptoZoo.
Logan Paul owns an energy drink company called Prime Hydration. He's getting sued by someone saying that his energy drinks are being marketed as being like healthy, and yet they have really high levels of PFAS. Okay, and so what are PFAS? PFAS are known as that toxic forever chemical.
Logan Paul just learned what happens when you build an empire on hype, ego, and zero long-term vision. It all crashes. Prime went from selling out in seconds to rotting on Walmart shelves next to expired Go-Gurt. The drink that once had middle schoolers throwing fists and gym bros acting like it cured dehydration, now it's a punchline, but that's just the beginning. In 2022, Logan and KSI launched PRIME, like they had discovered electrolytes. Logan didn't just want to sell a drink, he wanted a billion-dollar exit, another shortcut, another flex, another scam. They hyped it like it was the Gatorade killer. But here's where the mask falls off. Prime wasn't built on performance. It was built on thirst traps, fake scarcity, and Logan Paul's ego. And for a second it worked. Kids were trading bottles like gold. Parents were throwing punches in checkout lines. Influencers were stockpiling flavors like the world was ending. But then everything changed. Behind the hype, Prime was a time bomb. It tried to copy Body Armor's success, but without the patience, the quality, or the actual benefits. Logan tried to microwave a legacy and ended up with a puddle of plastic and lawsuits. And it gets worse. In the UK, Prime's revenue didn't just dip, it free fell. From £122 million in 2023 to just £33 million in 2024. That's not a slow decline, that's a cliff. Their net profit gone from £3.7 million to a pathetic £312,000. Here's where the truth hits hard.
Well, it's been 6 months and Logan apparently has still not refunded anybody. You see, Coffeezilla just tweeted this out, basically asking Logan Paul if him not paying the $1.8 million in refunds that he promised was another masterclass in marketing. By the way, he's referencing the masterclass in marketing because of this video by Logan Paul, where Logan essentially says that he played the media to market Prime. Anyways, Coffeezilla goes on to show Logan's promise to refund people, yet apparently Logan has delivered $0 of that money. As of right now, it doesn't seem like Logan has responded to Coffee's tweet, but since Coffee tweeted that, many people have come out against Logan, basically just referencing the money that he never refunded to anyone who bought into Zoo Token.
That's not just bad business, that's not enough to refund CryptoZoo victims, let alone pay the legal bills coming in hot. Prime was supposed to be Logan's redemption. Instead, it's just another reminder. He never learned. He just got louder. And the drama only gets deeper. It goes completely off the rails now. Prime isn't just flopping, it's flatlining. Global sales are reportedly down 92%. That's not a dip, that's a death sentence. Even in the US, near their biggest market, sales dropped by 40% in early 2024. That's like trying to dodge your own customers. But things were about to explode. Retailers aren't restocking. Kids don't even want it anymore. And once the hype becomes a meme, the product becomes a joke. Prime went from a must-have to a punchline faster than Logan's NFT grift. But here's where it really explodes. Logan's not just watching his drink fail, he's drowning in lawsuits. PRIME is getting slammed from every direction. A $67 million lawsuit from Refresco for ditching a bottling deal. A $13 million dispute with a supplier over unpaid ingredients. A $5 million lawsuit for toxic, forever chemicals in the grape flavor. And that's when the bombshell hit. There's even a class action over caffeine because Prime Energy allegedly hits like rocket fuel while being sold to literal kids. Then there's a mislabeling lawsuit for lying about caffeine content. And a whole separate legal mess from the US Olympic Committee. Because Logan and KSI slapped Team USA logos on bottles without permission, it spirals from here.
What has been the most visceral or violent reaction to what you've done and exposed?
It's probably the Logan Paul story, the CryptoZoo saga. That was a case where, you know, it's just a classic influencer greed story where this guy launches an NFT project, does millions upon millions of dollars in sales, and delivers nothing. He promises the world a fun blockchain game that earns you money, and he did nothing. And the project was left abandoned, and people were like miserable, complaining. No one says it, but
I'm not
they
aware
don't
of
have a
that.
voice.
I'm kind of aware that you covered it, but I don't know the story.
So,
okay.
Logan Paul is a popular influencer. You know who he is. He, along with a lot of influencers, got really interested in like the crypto space, and he had done a coin before that called Dink Doink, which was abandoned shortly after he promoted it. People got invested, goes to zero, right? And he says, well, that's not my project. That was my buddy's project. And then like a month later, he's like, I actually do have a project, excited to announce it. It's called Cryptozoo. It's a fun game. They called it a fun game that earns you money. Basically, the idea is they're going to sell you these two things. Eggs is NFT, and then there's a coin aspect to it called zoo tokens, okay? So you can buy these zoo tokens to buy the eggs, and the idea is the eggs will then hatch into animals that will earn passive zoo tokens. So you can buy eggs with zoo tokens, and then the eggs will passively earn you zoo tokens. That was the idea pitched to people, and people immediately buy in. They $3 million in NFT sales, tens of millions of dollars in the tokens itself, the zoo tokens. People are so excited about it because it's Logan Paul, and he says this is his project. He's putting his name behind it, his backing behind it, and he's a great marketer. I mean, you got to give the guy credit where credit is due. He's a tremendous marketer. So people get all excited. All of a sudden, the hatch day comes when you're supposed to hatch these eggs, and half the hatching doesn't work, and they're not actually earning anything. The whole time they said they're going to earn you these tokens, right? They're not earning anything. So the promises haven't been fulfilled. There's just sort of all this stuff going on behind the scenes. Logan's quiet. Come to find out, he had hired basically criminals who were selling on the back end, like some of the tokens. And he was sort of like, I don't know what his thing was. I think he realized like, oh, it's not gonna be that successful. Let me move on. I think his mentality was, let me just move on, right? The problem though is you have millions of dollars of investment in a thing that you promoted. You told everyone it was gonna make them money, and then you never delivered anything. So my story was basically showing the victims of the scheme, and in response, he's like, well, I'm going to sue you for that.
Altogether, these lawsuits stack up to nearly $100 million in legal heat. Meanwhile, Prime's profit this year barely scrapes past $400,000. That's not big brand energy. That's can I pay in installments energy. Now here's where it gets insane. Prime was never really about hydration. It was always about illusion. From the start, Logan and KSI weren't selling electrolytes. They were selling exclusivity. Fake hype, mystery drops, influencer FOMO. Kids were reselling bottles like sneakers. Some schools even had black markets for Prime, single bottles flipping for profit like it was liquid Yeezys. But this next twist, game-changing. Hype doesn't last. Once Prime became easy to find, the magic vanished, and if the flavor doesn't hold up, the whole thing crumbles. Prime tastes like melted Skittles and regret. And now, Logan's drowning in both. This is where it all falls apart. This part left everyone stunned. People finally realized they weren't drinking a sports drink. They were chugging overpriced Kool-Aid with a gym filter slapped on top.
Incredibly bad for you. It's an entire class of chemicals. There's over 14,000 of them. The one that you're the most familiar with is going to be Teflon, but there's lots of them. They will build up in your body and stay there for upwards to 10 years. PFAS are linked to brain cancer, testicular cancer, kidney cancer, as well as a suppressed immune response. Lots of not good things, right? Logan Paul's energy drink had very high levels. There's two ways that his energy drink could have gotten contaminated with these PFAS, okay? The first is from, it's a drink, so they didn't filter their water. The second one is from the supply chain and how it's manufactured. So, and I also just want to say off the bat, lots of like electrolyte powders and energy drinks also have PFAS. So this is not an isolated situation. So first, I'm going to go into the water. All of our water is contaminated with PFAS because they can't be destroyed. They're known as that toxic forever chemical because there's no real way to like break them down. Meaning the same PFAS that were dumped in our water supply like in the 1940s are still in our water now. As in all water in the world is contaminated with PFAS. Like they found PFAS in polar bear blood. They found PFAS in the mountains in Tibet. The levels of PFAS that are in our rainwater exceed the EPA's like health safety level. Okay. PFAS that were also in the drink specifically are ones that are in our water. So PFOS, which is one of the 14,000 compounds of PFAS, that is Scotchgard. Straight up, that's Scotchgard. Just by them using tap water that was not filtered, that is one way that PFAS would get into Logan Paul's drinking water. Okay, the second reason has to do with manufacturing. So PFAS are used a lot in the production and manufacturing, and any energy drink is an incredibly processed beverage. Okay, this isn't like naturally occurring. All of that is marketing. Okay, there is a company that has been sued by the EPA called Enhance. Enhance makes all of these big high-density polyethylene containers for manufacturing. Right, they're used a lot in the factories for cosmetics and food. Okay, also pesticides. It's basically these huge plastic bins. The problem is that Enhance will spray the inside of these plastic bins with a fluorinated gas, and that fluorinated gas straight up leaches PFAS into whatever it's holding. There's lots of products that have now been found to have PFAS that get them specifically from those big high-density polyethylene like storage bins, right? Prime hydration drinks are incredibly processed, and they probably had many, many ingredients that were stored in these PFAS fluorinated plastic bins. PFAS are much worse, and people are talking about not going away anytime soon. You need to filter your water, and you need to prevent your body from absorbing it to begin with by eating a diet that is rich in folate.
Prime dropped so many random flavors, it started to feel like they were trying to complete a video game battle pass. Mango, ice pop, glow-in-the-dark mystery juice. Nobody even knew what Prime was supposed to be anymore. But then, total chaos. Who was it for? Athletes, kids, gamers, Logan stans. Even the brand didn't seem to know. Prime had no identity, just noise. And to make it worse, Logan started forcing Prime into everything. Every vlog, every podcast, every awkward sponsored post. Prime was shoved in your face like a bad pop-up ad. But that's not all. Then came the cringe. Logan and KSI pulled every weird stunt they could to keep the hype alive. Strange catchphrases. loud skits, fake beef with every drink brand under the sun. They bashed Gatorade, mocked Liquid IV, told everyone else they sucked more. But here's where the mask falls off. When your entire pitch is, "at least we're not them," that means your product can't stand on its own. Prime claimed to be a healthy hydration drink, but that lie fell apart quick. Experts tore it to shreds. Doctors, dietitians, health officials, they all said the same thing. Prime is not good for kids. It turns darker from here. Schools banned it. Parents panicked. Some countries even considered legal action. And through all of it, Logan just sat there smirking. Trust me, bro. Except nobody was trusting him anymore. Not after the lawsuits. Not after the caffeine backlash. Not after watching another Logan Paul hustle fall apart. And that's when the tables turned. Here's where the truth hits hard. Logan thought he could slap on a lab coat and silence the backlash. He posted walkthroughs of Prime's facilities, flexing FDA compliance like he was running a pharmacy. Clipboard in hand, smug grin on his face, like that was enough to clean up a chemical scandal. But things went downhill fast.
I have to say, the real Logan Paul looks very different.
Did you come all the way over here to ask about how I look?
Is Logan coming?
We've been investigating the influencer Logan Paul's promotion of cryptocurrencies. But when we booked an interview, he sent a lookalike and trolled us. I wanted to ask about allegations from critics who say he made personal gains by misleading his fans about crypto. For this, he denies any wrongdoing. Our investigation looked at an anonymous crypto account with close links to Logan Paul. In 2021, at the height of his interest in crypto, he posted about an Elon Musk-themed meme coin. What he didn't say is that he may have been a secret holder of the token. We noticed the anonymous account was first funded by Logan Paul's public crypto account, then from his fan club's NFT project, and it purchased a large amount of the coin. Moments before the tweet, it bought almost $160,000 worth. When the market peaked 12 hours later, it sold its holding at roughly $120,000 profit. Shortly afterwards, the price crashed. So it appears an account with close connections to Logan Paul made a lot of money from that tweet by buying directly before and selling after. There are still questions around Logan Paul's crypto activities, and with a class action claim filed for his failed CryptoZoo project, the allegations around Paul exploiting his significant platform to promote cryptocurrency continue to mount. Logan Paul has consistently denied any wrongdoing and blames other team members for the failure of the CryptoZoo project.
The lawsuits had already gone viral. The public had made up their minds. No one was buying Logan's "Trust Me Bro" routine because he looked more like a scammy fitness bro than a CEO. On his podcast, he even tried to joke about it. Forever chemicals? Whatever. He called it a rumor, made a TikTok debunking it, but even he admitted the damage was already done. And then came the bombshell. Instead of owning up, Logan mocked the legal claims, called them weak, said the plaintiff wouldn't get anywhere, brushed it all off as attention-seeking, said Prime would never settle. But here's the thing, once your brand is poisoned, there's no coming back. It didn't end there, because while Prime burned, Logan's other disaster was already on fire. CryptoZoo, the NFT game that scammed people out of more than $6 million and gave them nothing but pixelated disappointment. When Coffeezilla exposed the scam, Logan didn't apologize. He sued him. Yup. Because in Logan's world, getting caught is more offensive than stealing. Brace yourself for this one. Now the SEC and FBI are circling. Logan accused Coffeezilla of sending false info to the government, a serious charge that could blow back hard. You don't mess with federal investigations, and Logan knows that, but instead of coming clean, he doubled down. Again, it spirals from here. At this point, Logan Paul isn't just a failed entrepreneur, he's a walking lawsuit machine. Prime is collapsing, CryptoZoo is under investigation, the hype is gone, the smoke has cleared, and all that's left is ego, lawsuits, and regrets. That's when everything unraveled, because Prime was never built to last. It wasn't about electrolytes, it was about attention. It wasn't a health drink, it was a shortcut to another cash grab. And like every other shortcut Logan has taken, this one caught up to him. But this next twist, game-changing. Now he's standing in the wreckage, holding a half-empty bottle of broken promises. Not because people turned on him, but because he gave them every reason to. Prime wasn't a brand, it was a neon-colored ego trip. Just like CryptoZoo. Just like every other fake empire Logan tried to build. And then, total chaos. So the next time a flashy influencer tells you to trust the process while holding a bottle of hype and lies, just remember, hype is temporary, but karma collects interest, and Logan Paul, he's paying up. They tried to bury someone else, but ended up destroying themselves.